Most people do not have the patience to have a child, honestly. Really. Hey family, it's Tanya, and today for Sunday school I am going to share with you the 5 things you think you need to homeschool but you actually don't. So if you're interested in finding out what the 5 things are that you think you need for homeschool but you really don't, then stick around for the video. But before we jump into this video, if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Tanya and I am the non-traditional mommy. And on this channel, we do things like talk about homeschooling and parenting and anything else that pertains to life. So if you're interested in any of those things, then I would love for you to consider joining my little family and hitting the subscribe button. To the rest of my non-traditional family, you guys are the MVPs and I love you bunches. Mwah. Now, let's talk about the 5 things that you don't need to homeschool. All right, you guys, so whenever I tell people I homeschool, I usually get the, oh, I could never, I don't know how you do it, I couldn't do it, blah, 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 blah. And the reasons that people tend to say they cannot homeschool vary from person to person. But I have found that these are typically the 5 things that people think they need in order to homeschool, but they really don't. So let's get started. Number 1, and the most common one, is patience. Now, if you saw my 5 things you need to homeschool, you're gonna be like, but you said you need patience in that video. Well, you guys, patience is one of those things that is relative to the situation and how you're using it and what you think. So in this case, a lot of people will say, I don't have the patience to homeschool my kids. Well, neither do I. Most people don't have the patience to even have a child. Let's just face it, being a parent, doing all the things that come along with parenting pushes our buttons, it pushes our limits. Our nerves are tapped on, walked on, stumped on, and everything else. And so when it comes to homeschooling, patience is one of those things that teeter-totters. Of course you need to have patience because life happens, things happen. Your kids may not feel like doing school. You may not feel like doing school. There may be times of tug of war, and you have to be able to be patient with yourself and be patient with your child in those moments. However, you don't need to feel like I don't have the patience. In other words, there are going to be times in homeschooling where you are at your max and you do not have the patience. Like, you are frustrated, you are irritated, you're angry, you're all the things when it comes to just parenting for that day, and you're thinking, I don't have the patience to do this. Like, you're not listening. You're not listening. You know, this isn't working, whatever the case may be, and you feel like, I just don't have the patience to do this. Well, that's not what it is. You need to have grace. You need to be able to give yourself grace and be flexible. That's where that flexibility comes in, and maybe change up something, give yourself the day off, take some time, whatever it is. It's not so much that you just don't have the patience to homeschool your child. It's more so you just need to have grace and maybe try something different. So feeling like I don't have the patience isn't something that you need. You don't have to be a super patient person. You don't have to be this peaceful Buddha kind of, I just float through life and whatever is kind of person to homeschool your child. You can be high energy. You can be the kind of person that gets frustrated with your child and still homeschool. That is possible. So number 1 is patience. Number 2, I hear all the time, is money. People think that you have to have a ton of money or a ton of resources to be able to homeschool your child. They feel like it's expensive. When you start looking at these big box curriculums, it can get really, really expensive, you guys. Trust me, I know. I am a recovering curriculum junkie. Hi, my name is Danielle, and I'm a recovering curriculum junkie. And so it can easily get very expensive. And so a lot of people feel like I don't have the money or the resources to be able to afford these really big elaborate curriculums to homeschool my child. But the thing is you don't need that. You don't have to have a whole lot of money or even have these big box curriculums to homeschool your children. There's so many resources, you guys, out there. There's free resources like all-in-one, easy peasy for curriculums. That's a completely free curriculum. There's just so many tons and tons of different resources out there for you, for if you don't have a huge bank account to just throw, you know, your money at these curriculums that you can use. For example, you guys have heard me talk about Goose Goose Duck numerous of times on my channel since we've started using it, but that is a fairly inexpensive curriculum that you can use for your younger kids to cover history and things like that. So there's so many programs out there, you guys, that aren't expensive that you could use to totally homeschool your child. So you do not have to have a lot of money in order to homeschool. Number 3 is going to be space. People think you have to have the space to homeschool your child. You have to have a designated room, a designated classroom, a designated area that is set up like a schoolroom with the calendars and the chalkboards and all of this and all of that in order to homeschool. And once again, that was me. I did those things. I had an entire classroom at one point set up with all of the calendars and all of the things. And y'all, that was great and it was fun and it worked, especially for when my kids were younger and was doing kindergarten. It gave them that feel of traditional school at home. But now we homeschool at our kitchen table. I bought a little chalkboard from Hobby Lobby that I use as my chalkboard, and sometimes I use it, sometimes I just sit next to my child and show them on paper what we are doing. We no longer have a classroom set up in our house. We moved, we're in a smaller house, and we just don't have the space for it. Could I put some kids together so that we could have a designated classroom? Absolutely. Do I feel like it's necessary? Absolutely not. So having the space. You don't have to have the space as long as you got a table, some pens, some papers, and even when this whole Corona thing is over, you don't even have to have a table. You can go to Chick-fil-A, Jumpin' Jelly Beans, or wherever to homeschool your child. You don't have to be at this table, in this room, in this space in order to homeschool your child. So number 3 is going to be the space. Number 4 kind of goes with the money, and that is going to be a fancy, expensive, elaborate curriculum. A lot of people think in order to homeschool, they're going to have some type of fancy curriculum, an expensive curriculum, an elaborate curriculum. You honestly don't even have to have a curriculum to homeschool your child. We did a whole year with no books one year, and it was great. A lot of people do unschooling. A lot of people do forest schooling. There's so many different ways to homeschool your child, and having a big fancy curriculum is not one of them. So if you're feeling like, well, I want to homeschool, but I also don't want to be you know, trapped inside or boxed into a box curriculum, then hey, you can do it, because you do not have to have an elaborate box kind of curriculum. There again is so many different resources, so many different ways that you can homeschool your child, and having a fancy elaborate curriculum doesn't have to be one of those ways. So again, you don't have to have that in order to homeschool. Number 5, and the final thing, is going to be a certificate or a degree in education, or even a bachelor's degree. All the time, you guys, I have people ask me, was I a teacher? Do I have a degree in education? Do I have a certificate? Did I have to do this in order to homeschool my kids? And the answer is no. You guys, you are qualified. I did a video talking about you are qualified to teach your child. So you do not have to have a fancy certificate or license to teach your child. As long as you have the ability to do the research, to find what they need to find, as long as you have the love and the will and the desire for your child to thrive and succeed in life, then you have the ability to homeschool your child. Now, obviously, again, as I said in that video, this doesn't mean that every single parent out there should be homeschooling their child, because there are some parents that are just worried about the hierarchy of needs, you guys. So obviously those parents aren't going to be in the realm of homeschooling. However, for those of you who are on this video because you have the ability to homeschool your child, but you're feeling like you can't do it or you're not qualified because you don't have a teacher certificate, that's not the case. You don't have to have a teacher certificate, nor do you need one to homeschool your child. Understand that there are teachers who are licensed, who have certificates, who have a teaching degree, and they are still out doing the research, continuing their education, learning every single day. They are still needing to learn things. There are still things that they don't know. So it kind of gives you that same kind of playing field for yourself as a parent. You're gonna have to do some research, continue to learn, continue to educate yourself when it comes to certain things. And when you don't know, you outsource it, you guys. So having a certificate is one of those things that you might think you need, but you don't need. So there you have it, you guys. The 5 things you might feel like you need or think you need to homeschool, but you really don't. Patience, money, a fancy space or schoolroom, an expensive or fancy curriculum, and number 5, a certificate. So there you go. What are you guys' thoughts? Were there other things that you think you need to homeschool, but maybe you really don't? Let me know in the comments below what some of those things are that you think you need, but maybe you really don't. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Tell me you guys' thoughts. I would love to hear them. And if you're new here, I would love for you to consider joining my little family and hitting the subscribe button. We are super, super nice here, y'all. So, you know, come on and join us and hit the subscribe button. To the rest of my family, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Wait, stop, don't go yet. If you want to see more videos over Sunday school or homeschooling, or just any videos in particular, like who the heck is this chick, then I will leave them here and here for you to go check out, and I'll meet you over there. Come on, let's go.